afterwards you're like, oh gosh, I teach other people not to do this, but I did it. And they're like, why would you do that? This is what you teach, not to do these things. And I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know why.
Number one, suppress our critical thoughts.
Yes. They get us in our emotional state. Because if I want you not to look too deep into what I'm doing, I don't want you to be critically thinking about anything. So one thing that salesmen often do, they use scarcity. They use tactics of you have to make a really quick decision. So if I can get you emotional and then get you to make a choice very quickly, we talked about that. Breathe. I'm not allowing you to do that. So I'm making you make a decision while you are in your emotional state.
Is that what is happening when you get really smart women who are entrepreneurs, have their own money, and somehow, some way they've got conned into signing over their wealth to a guy who ends up conning them?
It doesn't matter how amazing you are with influence and with being organized and thinking through your decisions. Everybody is vulnerable because everybody is human. But often it can be those moments of, why did I do that? Again, like we said, when it comes to acting our emotions, we go, why did I do that? And I'm someone that teaches this. And I teach emotional regulation. Does it mean that I've never had that moment where I have just gotten so in my emotions that I've made a really stupid decision? Of course not. You know, we have expert hackers and expert social engineers that teach how to not fall for phishing and smishing and vishing scams.
Smishing?
Smishing is text phishing. So when it's a text message that is a phish. So you may get that text that you have a package that needs to be picked up or a package that couldn't be delivered. That's a smish. And then a vishing is a phone call scam. So maybe it's HR, they need your password for this. That's vishing. So we have the world-leading experts in these things that have fallen for them because we are all human, we are all vulnerable. So again, reminding yourself that you are vulnerable, that one of the main things that I see is people recognize that everybody is biased, that they fall for confirmation bias, everybody's biased, but I'm not biased. That's called the self-serving bias. It's a bias that we all have. We tend to think that everybody else is more biased than we are. And you know, I couldn't possibly fall for these things. And it's like, well, actually, by believing that, you're probably more prone to falling for these things.
Yeah, you're so right.
Yeah, and when you see people that, oh, I'd never do that, usually they're the ones that end up falling for it very, very badly.
Because they're so dogmatic that they'd never fall for it, that they almost don't see it coming.
Yeah, because when you have that moment of, oh, I might actually be wrong, or I might actually be vulnerable, what it does is it gives you that reflection. And I know I've said it a bunch, but I really emphasize that. Remind yourself that you might be wrong. And if you are so certain, no, I could never, no, I'm such an expert that I couldn't possibly, you are actually increasing your vulnerability. And there's also research done that people that have such a high level of expertise often miss the obvious because they're relying on their expertise and they forget to remind themselves, you are human. Again, you know, I teach emotional regulation, but I fall for my emotions sometimes. And afterwards you're like, oh gosh, I teach other people not to do this, but I did it. And we need those reminders. I work for a company where we fish people. Obviously, we're hired to do so. We're not just randomly sending out. We're actually like...
You're trying to catch people in the act.
Yeah, so we break into buildings. We're hired to break into buildings. You know, we pretend we're someone we're not. We get in security, or we fish their stuff, get passwords and ID cards, social security numbers. But we're hired by the CEOs to do so. So we show them where their vulnerabilities are, so they can protect against the actual bad guys. I work for a company that does that, and we recently had a test fish that went out. Now, everything that I've told you of don't engage in behaviors with consequences when you're in your emotions, also if you're in a heightened state. So I was at the gym, and I had just finished a run. So my nervous system was completely riled up, and I had my phone and I got an email come through. And it was, I can't remember what the email was, but it said, click this. And I clicked it. And it looked very genuine. So I clicked it, and then the sign came up, you have just fallen for the fish. You may need retraining.
Oh,
And I was like, I did everything I teach people not to do. And when we had our team meeting, we were laughing about it because I said, you want to know what I was doing when I read that email? I had just finished a run. And they're like, why would you do that? This is what you teach, not to do these things. And I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know why. Because that's why I try not to be, a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, you know, I'll do my emails while I'm at the gym, or I'll do this while I'm at the gym because I'm being extra productive. What you forget is your emotional states might be changed. You need to be in a context that allows you to critically think if you're going to be making these decisions. And again, I teach that, but I did it myself, so we all fall for it.